Welcome everybody to our next LinkedIn Live session on responsible security from Trellix. And I'm Cashman, a field CTO here in the EMEA market, and I'm joined by one of the best intelligence experts in the world, John Fokker. John,
That's a lot of credit, Mo, but happy to be here.
yeah. I mean, who else can we have a conversation about intelligence without you, man? John, this is a really important topic. Well, first off, threat intelligence is critical to almost everything we do in security. But customers kind of struggle a little bit, and in the vein of sort of being responsible with threat intelligence, what are some of your perspectives on what's going on in the market of intelligence and some of the ways that customers can really build their programs effectively?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and this is something that's close to heart. If I look at the intelligence industry, the market, things that are happening, and also my own history coming from law enforcement, I like to see it as the intelligence is vital for an organization, but at the same time, we like discrete professionals. But what we see in the market is that it's also very popular and that there's a lot of marketing around it as well. And that line is blurring. So we see organizations using threat intelligence as a marketing tool, which I can understand. But it goes, sometimes you can say, well, the gauge is a little bit too far towards marketing versus research. A pretty interesting example is, and I think a lot of our customers can agree, is naming convention. Naming convention is essential. You need to have that because picture a cylinder. A cylinder is round at the top and square if you look from the side. So every security vendor might look at the cylinder from a different angle, and that's why they would give it a different name. So one looks from the top, sees it calls it Mystic Circle, and the other one calls it Stormy Rectangle. Yeah, or you look at it from an angle and you can see it's a square. So that being said, there is something to say that there is a reason why there's a naming convention. However, what we see is that there's also a tendency to discover a group or a new group and then urge to name that group or even name groups that are different. And that kind of like flips the script. It becomes a marketing tool. And yeah, funny is like this is something I do every RSA. I walk around the booth and walk around the floors, and I look and I can see what companies are idolizing threat actors. They're making figurines, big statues, comic book type of things about these threat actors. And then I always walk towards the FBI stand, and then you can see the actual pictures of the threat actor, and it's not a comic book actor, it's not a superhero. No, it is just a person with glasses or whatever. It's just a human being,
Yeah,
and that's
they've got
something we.
girlfriends, they got car problems, they've
Oh,
got money
totally.
problems, they got all kinds of similar issues that everybody has.
100%. And either they work for a state or they work in a crime group with for financial gain. They're just human beings and they're launching attacks against you. And that is something we should not forget because threat intelligence is essential, but you don't want to sell it with fear. No, what our customers need to know is how a threat will operate or a threat actor might operate and what are the TTPs, how do they do the thing that they do, what can I expect them, and how can a customer arm themselves against it. And yeah, attribution is great that you can figure out who it is, but 9 times out of 10, that is a natural consequence of doing proper research. You might have an alert, you want to go threat hunting for more indicators, for more behaviors that are linking to things, and you can use threat intelligence to guide you towards a certain path. And eventually, you can come to the conclusion, hey, okay, I think based on malware, based on technical indicators and other things, it is this threat group. But that is a consequence of hard work. That is not the goal. The goal is that you protect your organization and not through fear. No, your board needs to know what these threats are and what you can do against it. So at Trellix, we're really focusing more on being responsible in this space. So we see it as our responsibility to provide you with good information, be transparent about threat actors, try to untangle the marketing from the actual research angle so you as a practitioner know exactly what you're facing.
And I think one thing we also do within Trellix is give people a choice, right? How they want to consume that intelligence, because there's a number of ways to do that, right? And each intelligence will say whether it's operational or strategic or tactical, that it fits into a different group. Maybe the CISO and more of the risk managers and the board need to understand more of the strategic aspect. What are the threats that are on the horizon? What are those macro threats? When you get into the SOC, it's definitely more of the operational and the technical data, right? Especially the TTPs, the indicators, the all the artifacts, and that's the most important. That's the meat of what you need to defend. And we do a number of things there to meet the customers, where they are. Given the option to consume indicators if that's what they want into the tools, we do that with GTI. And we also do that in a private sense, right? We bring down the indicators into closed networks. So we give the customers a number of ways to consume the operational, the contextual intelligence that your team produces in the form of either public or private systems, through the insights portal, where you can get all that context and connect it to your endpoints, your other controls, to get more of an understanding, and is really take action on that data, whether it's hunting or prevention. And then also, when it comes to I think the other part we want to get into a little bit is also the building of the program and the team. And I'll come back to what we do there, but I know that you just put out you and in your group put out, along with others, have put out a really awesome piece of work around the threat intelligence maturity. So how customers can use that. Let's talk a little bit about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think, Mo, you touched upon a really good point, describing that there's different types of intelligence. So you can have a more on a tactical level, operational or strategic level, and then B, there's different products. So we as Trellix have different products which consume different forms, and there's different audiences. So there could be your board versus the SOC versus, well, it's the tool. And the interesting thing is that the model that you spoke about, and I'm very proud that Trellix is a part of this, and that it's something that is born out of pure intelligence practitioners from multiple vendors. So it's vendors, it's public and private sector. All these CTI experts put their hands together, because very often we see that we face similar struggles. For us as Trellix, we know the importance of threat intelligence. So we not only put it in the product, but it's also part of our briefing process. In the last weeks, we were very busy with a lot of stuff. So intelligence and what the threat actors are doing was a big part of it. So that value is established. But we see, and if we talk to customers, it might be a customer that's just, they want to grow. So what we've done with an industry professionals, and it was sponsored by Intel 471, we came together and we used the Department of Energy cybersecurity capability maturity model, and we transformed that to CTI. And we describe different domains. So there could be different aspects towards CTI where you can use intelligence or cyber threat intelligence, and then describe, okay, what's the base level? What's level one? What's your base level? What you want to achieve? And then go down and deeper. So what you generally will see is that a base level is more of an ad hoc. You would purchase a tool or a feed or whatever, and then you would use that in your group and you would respond to incidents and all these things. Whereas if you go down to the highest level of maturity is that you have a well-established program that is fully funded, that is acknowledged by the board, you're part of a briefing process, and you can measure your investment as well. You can measure how you're adding to a lot of these things. So these are all these benchmarks where you can adhere, and it really helps as a kind of a guiding path for a lot of organizations to grow. Because and in all honesty, like that's the same thing at RSA or any conference or any roadshow you come. Everybody says threat intelligence, and there's multiple vendors, and they're offering all these kinds of tools and platforms. And sometimes it's very confusing. So the model isn't a thing to untangle what all the tools and things are for a vendor, but it gives you the guidelines towards, okay, this is what I want to achieve. And then based on the model, you can always go to a vendor and say, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve to this level. Can you offer this? And that could be a product, could also be a service that you're purchasing.
That's great because I think that's one thing that's been missing from we'll say the whole host of frameworks that are out there. There's a number, I think, CTI frameworks, but nothing really totally standardized. And I think this is a work towards that sort of standardization of how you build an effective threat intel program, regardless of technology. And it gets us people away from the conversation on feeds, which is always usually the first thing. And no, we have to build a program. And I think it's very timely also, especially for the European market, with the NIS2 directive becoming enforced. And what that does is really, it's not about giving specific tools, but it's about driving a continuous risk management approach, continuous sort of understanding of your risk. And I think threat intelligence is absolutely at the heart of that. And being able to build an effective program using the model that you and the team and the collaboration groups, our partners that have developed, will be awesome. That model is going to help customers grow their maturity. One of the things also that Trellix does, and oftentimes Trellix customers don't know all the things that we do in threat intelligence. And I mentioned a few earlier, but in this context about building the program and augmenting the team or building the team,
Yeah.
Intelligence as a service is something that we offer, and that's with customized reporting, customized analysis, but also building the program, consulting on what are your priority intelligence indicators, what are your priority needs, and I assume you're going to be using that maturity model also to help understand customer maturity going forward, consistently improving. So
Totally.
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's an excellent tool, and it's good to note that it's launched. Now it's online, the first documentation, and we're working towards building an assessment tool, if you might say so. So it's easier. It's a questionnaire where you can fill in some questions, and you have a scoring model, and it kind of comes out like if you have the domains around, it's like a spider web graph, so you know where you're at. But yeah, this I'm for Trellix. I'm excited that we're a part of this, and we're looking towards how can we bring this more integrated in the industry, and solidify this into multiple organizations. We got some really, really cool inquiries from other vendors, from some of our public sector partners as well. So this is exciting times, and it's basically the workbook now is it's for free. It's just for the community. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. We also have written a short blog around the model on our website, and otherwise you can check it out at CTI-CMM.org.
Great. I think with that, John, maybe we just can summarize a little bit when it comes to threat intelligence and responsible security. A couple of things. One thing I heard you say was, watch out for all the fluff, let's just say, right, and the marketing fluff around intelligence. And I think what I hear from customers is building that program, building real capability is what they need. I think the things that we talked about here were just helping customers how to do that.
Yeah. You need to understand the threat. You need to understand how they operate, and then you need to know how to arm yourself. If you're encompassed by fear, or somebody's trying to sell you fear about the threat, that is not a good strategy. It's better to understand the threat, then you won't fear it, and you will embrace it, and you will arm yourself proactively, and then you know what you're facing.
Great. Well, with that, we hope you enjoyed our conversation on responsible security and the role of threat intelligence. Look forward to talking with you again, John.
Thanks a lot, Mo.
Thanks.
See you next time.
See you. Bye.